look at it, it looks the same.
I was recording this for you. Is it okay?
I went out the area.
I think Shanaz, did something happen?
No, I just started recording. Still come back.
He's not there.
He's not there.
He's not
Somehow
there.
he has, yeah, exited.
I think he got knocked off the group, Shanaz.
Yeah, I'm just.
I had a problem. I'm back on air.
Okay.
Can
Just
you hear me?
Yeah, can you just let me make your co-host again so you can share your screen? Okay, Srilal. I'm recording this, Srilal. Is it okay?
Yeah, no worries, no worries. Share screen. What's happening? You're recording. I can see that. I can't get the share screen.
It's at the bottom in green. It's highlighted in green.
Yeah, okay. Is it coming now?
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Yep.
Not yet.
It's the green distance says share screen right at the bottom. Yeah, I think it's coming.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sorry about that. So I was highlighting the fact that the Sri Lankan elephant is a different subspecies that we got to be proud of. The wild elephant population in the world, the African elephants, we have about 500,000 to 600,000. But in the Asian variety, the 4 Asian varieties, we have only about 50,000 left. Now let's look at the Sri Lankan elephant a little bit. Sri Lanka's population has gone down from about 15,000 in the early 19s, in the 1990s, to about 6,500 right now. It's very difficult to get an accurate figure. You might think that counting elephants is very easy because it's such a large animal, but it's absolutely difficult doing a census of the elephants because they move around, they're in the jungle, it's very difficult to count. So the last census was done in 2008 and it was not accurate, but for better or worse, we have this number of about 6,500. We have the largest land mammal. The elephant is the largest land animal in the world. And to digress a bit, Sri Lanka has the largest animal that ever lived in the world, the blue whale. So I have been promoting this and Sri Lanka Tourism has taken it on board now, that this is the only country in the world that you can see both the largest land animal and the largest animal that ever lived in the world together. So that has been a USP. My, my research led to another interesting find that Sri Lanka is home to the largest animal in the world and the smallest animal. One is 4 tons and the other one is 4 grams, the pygmy shrew. I did this and I obviously got it confirmed by scientists, and I use here confirmed. And this is another interesting thing, the largest and the smallest. We have 10% of the world's Asian elephants, a large number for Sri Lanka to carry. The highest density, India has a lot more elephants, but it has a lot more land. Sri Lanka has a very little land mass, and 10% of the population is in Sri Lanka, which is giving rise to the troubles we have. Here you have the range of the elephant, the different 5 species. The Sumatran elephant is almost gone, so he's critically endangered. The Sri Lankan elephant is next. It's endangered, and the Indian elephant. The African elephant, as I told you, about 500 to 600,000 are still left. They are considered vulnerable. Now, this human-elephant conflict, you read in the papers every day, humans are killed, elephants are killed. This was when I was working in Syria. It was a high intense human-elephant conflict area, and you could see almost every week villages, houses being smashed up. It's very easy for us to sit in Colombo and say we should not do anything to the elephant. But when you go and talk to these villagers, and their whole livelihood has got wiped off just because the elephant came and rubbed his back against their wall, it's very difficult to explain to them that they should not do anything to the elephant or harm them. In a crude fashion, what are the issues? We have too many elephants, too little land, number one, very crude way. And the Department of Wildlife is more concerned in looking after people than their mandate of looking after wildlife. That's the sad part. But in a more organized fashion, it's because of rapid deforestation. We have lopped off a lot of our forests. Every day we read about forests being disseminated. Even now, we have gone and settled human beings, villagers in elephant habitat due to political reasons, haphazard development, change in land use, gone and planted bananas, imported from abroad, the seedlings, encroachment of international parks, and the most important thing is fragmentation of elephant habitat. I'll explain that to you. This is the forest cover somewhere in 1956. And this is the forest cover a few years ago. So you can see what has happened is not only has the forest shrunk and got deforested, it has got isolated patches. So this is very concerning because the elephants have home rangers. They need to move around. So when you have these patches and then now you have gone and put people here to live, and the elephant remembers his old paths that he can walk like this, that's when the problem starts coming. In the early 1900, we had elephants all over the country. We had the elephant corrals in Panamure, somewhere here, and the wet zone also had elephants. Unfortunately, with the development, the elephants all got pushed away into the north-central, north-eastern provinces. This is the few elephants, 1 or 2 who are left in Singaraja and Horton Plains. So these elephants got pushed and the density got more in these areas, which obviously leads to sad situations of elephants getting shot, killed by villagers, electrocuted, and of course, struck by trains, particularly in the Ingamali and the Batiklo lines. Elephant mortality has gone up tremendously. We are losing about 400 elephants per year, which relates to more than one elephant a day. Human beings also die in the clashes or in the interactions, about 100. Interestingly, in 2020, with the lockdowns and the pandemic raging, the numbers have come down, obviously, because people are not traveling, because of the lockdowns, and the interactions have come down. This is another way the elephant dies, a very slow and painful death. Hakkapatas. It's a small landmine. Villagers put into pumpkin, and when the elephant bites on it, his whole mouth gets blown off. He does not die, but he can't eat after that, and he dies a very slow, painful, agonizing death. Let's go to elephant societies. Elephant societies are very well-knit social groups. They live in families, and the family is led by a matriarch. The wisest, the oldest elephant, female elephant in the herd is the leader, and she is responsible and looks after the entire herd. So it's a very, very interesting structure. And you can see this is most probably the matriarch. And these are all the others are females or adolescent males. What happens is as the males grow up and they become sexually active, to prevent inbreeding, the matriarch chases the female out. The male out. So the young males, when they grow up, they are thrown out of the herd and they live a lonely life. So all males are alone. So if you see a lone elephant, in all probability, that is a male. But if you see a herd, that is an elephant herd with a matriarch, her sisters, aunties, grandmothers, and young calves. So it's a beautiful, well-knit family group. Elephant has one of the longest gestation periods. 2 years it carries the baby in its stomach and in its womb, and it suckles for another 2 years. So normally between births, the elephant will take about 4 to 5 years. And it's very, very protective of its calf. The calf is totally dependent on its mother. This is in Udawalawe. They are very shy when they have calves, and they can be very aggressive. This is an unusual sight where she trusted me and crossed the road. Normally, they will not cross the road, they will hide the calf. But in this case, if you are quiet, if you send the correct vibes, I believe in these vibes, the elephant will trust you and calm down. Calves are protected, as I said. You can see this. The small fellow is kept in between two big females, possibly the matriarch and one of her sisters. And the wonderful thing is the calf is looked after by all the females. So if she gets into trouble, there'll be enough of females to help. And in rare occasions, if the mother is not producing enough of milk, and if there's another female in the herd who is lactating, the calf will be allowed to drink milk from that elephant also. That's called an allo mother. And this is the wonderful close-knit family group of elephants with the matriarch as the leader. You can see here also, they are fairly close to the jeep, but still they are very protective. This fellow has fanned out his ears. That's a pretty typical a behavioral pattern showing that they are on guard. This is my friend, Dr. Sherbin, who has done a lot of work in Udawalawe. Because she goes into the park so often, the herds are very well acclimatized to her. And this is a very unusual sight where three small fellows are sleeping right in front of her jeep. What a wonderful photograph this is. It epitomizes the fact that humans can be accepted and trusted by these intelligent animals. Remember, they are very, very intelligent. Young calves are very playful, just like human babies. They are not. You often get a whack from the mother. They don't behave. So the elephant society, as I said, is a family bond. It's for life. If you are born into an elephant family and if you're a female, you're there together with the life. Communication, they communicate with each other every few minutes. They have unity. The elephant, the female's word is law. No one questions it. She's the wise old lady. She knows all the places where there is water, where they must move to. So there's no discussion. It's unity, caring, empathy, and sorrow. Elephants are known to grieve when a calf, there's on record, when a calf died, the female carried the calf for about 2 days, the carcass all over with her. So they do have, they do show sorrow. They are patient. They are calm. The Australian weather is not doing well for me, so excuse me. So what happens to the males? So the young fellows who have had the comfort of a lovely family group are suddenly sent off, and they get together with a few others of their same age, and they hang around. These are called young adolescent groups of males. They spar because when they grow big, they have to be strong to fend off other males when they go into mate. So these males live a solitary life. When they are young, they are in a small group of 2 or 3 or 4. Then they go and what they do is they apprentice under another big male who takes them under his wing and teaches him the ropes. Again, there's a lot of seniority, a lot of hierarchy. He never steps out of his line, but he'll be there with this big male learning things. And the males are, of course, all solitary. Their one purpose is for reproduction. They live alone, and when the time is right, when a female is in receptive, they will get the smells and they will come in, mate with the female, a couple of days, and off they go. They may never see their offspring, but that's the way it works. And this is the current reigning king of Udawalawe, Sumedha, a beautiful tusker. By the way, we have very few tuskers. And this is one of the rare, beautiful tuskers, Sumedha. This is a little anecdote of I will talk to you about the elephant transit home from where they release orphaned elephants, rehabilitated back into the wild. This is Sandamali. She has got so acclimatized and she's integrated with this herd. One of the success stories of the elephant transit home in Udawalawe. And she has her own little baby. I think now she has 2. I don't know because I used to go to the orphanage very often. When I saw her, she came very close to the jeep with this baby. I like to believe that she remembered me and brought the baby to show me. But anyway, she understood that they were humans and she was not so worried about humans. But then this other female, you can see, she was very concerned. She was going on, pushing her, and finally she virtually pushed her away and took her away from me, from the jeep. So it's very interesting because this animal remembered her young days in the transit home. And of course, everyone talks about the gathering in one area where you get about 1,000 elephants, about 100 to 200 elephants out in the open, a very unique thing which possibly doesn't have anywhere else in the world. It has been recorded or termed the fourth wildlife wonder of the world by Lonely Planet. So these are the unique things that the Sri Lankan elephant brings to us. Of course, they are very patient, they are very calm, but there are times when they can get very angry. And remember, this is a 4-ton big animal, right? And this is typical agitated behavior. The ears are out. And however much you are careful, there are the times when you can get into a big dangerous situation, because if not handled properly, he can easily smash the jeep like a matchbox. Unfortunately, this is the grim reality. We have elephants all over, haphazard development, as I said. Farmers tend to shoot these elephants. And as I told you, very often, it is the female that gets sometimes shot, not often actually, sometimes shot. And that's the real sad thing, because as I told you, the calf is totally dependent on the female. Without the mother, it will not live in the wild. So that is where the government started the Pinnavala orphanage firstly, which was a good project where they brought these orphans in and looked after them. It was designed for only 30 odd elephants in 1975. Now there are 85 elephants. So it is actually not being managed quite well now. It's not doing the same job as it should have done. There were 2 twins born recently. But when the Pinnavala orphanage is overcrowded, a few of us are asking, why do you want to allow some more elephants to be born there? So Pinnavala was becoming a problem, and that's when this is one of the blind, this fellow is blind, a tusker. These are 2 young fellows. You can see at Pinnavala, I did some work for the former minister there. That's the time I used to go there very often. And this is a lovely story in Pinnavala. This is Matali. She was brought when she was 5 years old. Now she must be about 50, 55. This is her daughter, Amali. And now Amali has given birth to Elvina. So there are 3 generations of elephants. What a lovely story. But we are not telling these stories. When I went to Pinnavala, I said, give me a mic. And I brought all these 3 elephants and I did a show for the tourists. They were so thrilled. I said, this animal, if not for Pinnavala, would have died. Now she's a grandmother. What a lovely human story. But we don't market ourselves. We don't tell the correct stories. Because Pinnavala was overcrowded, we started the elephant transit home. Now that is a different concept. We don't, these elephants are transit. That means they are looked after with only a very little interaction with humans. And when they are big enough, they are sent back into the wild. So there are, I think, 35 elephants right now. And this is one elephant that is there who can never be reached. His leg was amputated. When he came, he was caught in a snare. And they had this bucket-like prosthetic. A few of us helped. And now he has a lovely prosthetic leg. We got it down, we got the design down from Thailand. That's normal. That's the cover photo. So that's been ETH. ETH has released to date about 100 elephants back into the wild, and it's a good program where the elephants are looked after for a short time, for about 6-7 years, and then sent back into the forest. Captive elephants, there are about 125 captive elephants. Not something I like, but unfortunately we have elephants. What are we going to do with them? We can't release them back into the wild. They are not used to living in the wild anymore. There is also the situation of the Pereiras. Very tricky question, very controversial question to talk about. So only thing we can say is that at least we must look after these 125 to 130 elephants in captivity properly, because they are living a very different life to the life in the wild. As I told you, elephants need interaction. This is at Pinnavala. This is my son. They love human beings even, because they don't have enough interaction with other elephants. So you can't do this with all the animals. This is Matali. She's very docile. Some of the other elephants will hit you. But still, what I'm trying to say is that the elephants in captivity are living a very artificial life without the interaction and the bonding between other elephants. When I do programs abroad, people think this is photoshopped. 12 noon on the Alla Vallavaya road, on the Alla Kataragama road, down to Nonagama. A huge male walking on the road. So this is Sri Lanka. This is what we have as a natural, wonderful asset. This is an elephant playing cricket in Lahogala. These are army guys off duty, and the elephant is fielding. When I showed this, Tony Gregg, the late Tony Gregg, said he wants to show this on the commentary. And I printed and gave it to him. And it went worldwide, viral, how elephants play cricket in Sri Lanka. So these are from wearing my tourism hat. We have to tell these nice stories rather than the bad stories about elephants getting killed and all these things. We must, as Sri Lankans, sort that out. But to the outside world, we have to talk and market and create these lovely, unique stories. So the human-elephant conflict, we must try to bring it to human-elephant coexistence. It's very complex. I can't go into this in detail here. The authorities have to come down. There's a lot of research that has been done. But as you know, right now, science and research and knowledge is not what is used for decision making. Even with the COVID, you can see there's a lot of scientific knowledge out there, but we are not listening to it. So how can we listen about elephants? When my friends ask me, I said, when people are not listening about COVID to science, how can you expect them to listen about saving elephants through science? We must change the little land use patterns. We must stop resettlement of villagers. And it's a big issue. So there are no quick fix solutions. Elephants will continue to have problems with people. They are very intelligent. As I told you, they range a lot. So you can't have a piecemeal intervention. Certain things work in the short term. Fences, you can give some firecrackers to the villagers, but after some time the elephant gets used to it. So he's not bothered after that. Remember, he's a very intelligent animal. So we need a long-term strategic plan, like what Indira Gandhi did. It is she who took on the mantle of saving the tiger. She got all those actors to come on TV, Amitabh Bachchan. She drove it from the top. And today, the tiger population is increasing in India. So you need a whole holistic. I have done so many papers. I gave a paper to President Rajapaksa at that time to make the elephant an icon for Sri Lanka, to give him presidential status. He's the presidential animal or something like that, So there are things we can do, but unfortunately, voice is not heard. Anyway, to end up, the most beautiful saying from across the Pork Strait, the greatness of a nation and its moral progress can be judged by the way its animals are treated. So this is the great Mahatma Gandhi. So unfortunately, I don't have a good ending to the story. Many of us think that we have already reached the point of no return and that our grandchildren may not be able to see elephants in the wild by the 2050 or so. But still there is hope. If we still can get energized, that's why it's important, every one of us, to take this message. That's why I never refuse a talk on elephants, however difficult, however inconvenient it may be. I speak to a lot of school children because they are the future of this land. I hope even at this late stage something can be done. Thank you very much. I hope I made it as interesting as possible. Shanas, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Srilal.
Srilal, can you stop sharing your screen?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much, Srilal. That was really, very
No worries.
interesting. It's the second time I've heard it, but each time it gets better and I learn something more. Would you all like to ask any questions?
I was, of course, impressed with the names you've given to the elephants. Those were like really nice.
Yeah, okay. I can give you a lot more names from the research I
No,
did.
no.
The
So I
interesting
will,
part is I am not a scientist. So I am free from shackles. I don't have to name them M1, M2A. My children and I name them. We have Michael Jordan, we have James Taylor, we have it's depending on the characteristic. We have scallops, we have lumpy knee, short tail, all kinds of names, because I believe elephants are intelligent. They are human. They have human traits. So they can relate to us. Many a time when I have got into close encounters with elephants in the park, I just internalize and say, I have come here to look at you, to admire you, to interact with you. I'm not here to hurt you. And very often nothing happens. Scientists will think I'm crazy, too bad. But that's what I believe, right? Internalization. They have a sixth sense. I swear by it. I can't prove it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Srilal?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah, and so regarding the HEC, there must be some solution to it.
Okay.
I mean, I obviously from your talk, it was regarding deforestation and things like that. But surely, we can, Sri Lanka can do something to save our elephants.
Okay. Now that you asked the question, going back and foresting, reforesting and all that is out.
Yeah.
You have to live with the situation right now. So there is, I don't know, you all must have heard about him, Dr. Preeti Viraj Fernando, my good friend. He is the foremost elephant scientist in Sri Lanka, researcher. He has mapped out the entire country and he has produced a map which shows you three areas. One area where there are humans, one area where there are elephants, and one area where there are elephants and humans.
And humans. Okay.
So that those are the areas you have to attack, right? Because elephants, where they are alone or less humans, there's not a problem. So it's a question of scientifically, in a holistic manner, looking at those areas which are difficult. Can we move the people out or can we move the elephants out? Not easy to move the elephant out, but however, so there is a structure on which we can work. And then after that, you have areas demarcated for the elephant and areas demarcated for the people. And you have very little interaction other than food. Then, of course, fences work to some extent if it's well maintained, it's well put up. Or sometimes they call it in Sinhalese kokata taile. They go and put the fence, and after about 3 days, there are elephants on both sides of the fence. In Sigiriya, there were problems, and then these guys go and put fence on both sides of the road. It's open on one side, open on the other side. So if a man is cycling in the middle and there's an elephant coming in the middle, no one can go anywhere because there are two fences on either side. So these are the type of idiotic things they do to appease the politicians. So fences, if properly designed in a limited fashion, can be managed. And you have to have this managed human-elephant areas. There is also a study going on where you are fencing, you fence the village, you fence the complete village. So the villages are enclosed, the elephants are outside. So the villagers are in charge of the fence. So they have to look after it, they have to maintain it. It's for their livelihood. So that's another thing, that instead of moving the villagers out, you enclose the entire village and give the responsibility of looking after and maintaining that fence to the villagers. So there are some long-term solutions that can be used. But remember, this can't be done by the private sector. That's why, according to the Fauna and Flora Act, all this is owned by the government. So we can't do anything. We can only give the solution.
So is it not possible to make local people aware of these kind of programs so that, you know,
Yeah, okay. A lot of awareness is being done. But as I told you, awareness goes out of the roof when the elephant has come and smashed up your house and taken all your below the entire stock of harvest.
yeah.
So, you're talking about people who are living there. It's very easy for us to go and tell them. They ask me, sometimes I have gone and spoken. They said, "Mate amonada karan. What do you want me to do? I have 2 children to feed. I have to do this. So what do you want me to do?"
But when
I
they
have
fence, when they fence the villagers, can't
Yeah.
they also help the elephants, but by seeing to it that the elephant has enough food so that it doesn't have to encroach the village?
Yeah,
Like the trees or whatever the elephants require.
Yeah.
To,
Yeah.
to
Now, just to now, obviously you are interested and it's a little bit more deep. In the good old days, why was this problem not there? Because the farmers in the olden days, first of all, they didn't have these multiple cultivations. So they had chain-up. Elephants love chain-up cultivation because after they cultivate and they slash and burn the foliage, the young green shoots of grass come there and the elephants thrive on it. So after that, the elephants go off. Then the villagers go back and do their next kind of planting. You see, but now what has happened is you have fertilizer, You can plant a much more higher yielding crop like banana, papaya. So it's like showing a candy to an elephant. Right? In the good old days, they used to plant capsicums and chilies and stuff like that. During the time the elephants walked, they knew. There are Puranagamas where they knew. But all that has changed. The land use, the cultivation, all that has been changed.
It's a kind of a no-win situation, isn't it?
Well, it's not no win. If there's a will, there's a way. But as I said, this can't be done by a few of us. We are doing a little things. Now Prothu has his village down in Yala. He's trying to do a trial with this. And the villages are participating. They are very keen, all that. So like that, there are pockets of things going on.
Right.
But you need the government to come in and say, look, we are taking this over. Give us the support, give us the know-how, and we'll do it. But when that is not forthcoming, it's very difficult.
Why won't government take an active part in this?
Sorry, was that a question?
Why won't the government take an active part in this?
I am afraid I can't answer that question. Why the government is
No,
not doing it.
not enough animal lovers, not enough nature lovers. They get too interested in their money-making rackets, I guess.
Yeah.
Srilal, this is
Why do elephants have these white patches? Is that a sign of aging or?
Yeah, that's when they become mature, that's around the front of the trunk, ears, and the neck. In Sinhalese, you call kabara. It's depigmentation. It's pink color depigmentation. That's a sign of maturity. And in the wild, you don't see it that often because they are full of mud. But in tame elephants, because the mahout scrubs them and cleans them so well, you can see the pink coloration. But sometimes in the wild also you can see it. So it's depigmentation.
Srilal, this has nothing to do with elephants. But was your sister the principal of Ladies College?
Yes.
Okay.
Srilal, I have a question. You said that at one point there was, on an average, one elephant dying every day. Any records of how many elephants are born on an average
Good
for a year?
question, Jana. No, unfortunately, that's very difficult. As I told you, they are spread all over. We don't know. Now, in Min area, we see a lot of calves,
Okay.
right? But unfortunately, now, because now we are still not 100% confirmed, but the twins that were born at Min area, it looks as if one of the twins is dead. That again, you can't be sure because we have seen one of my colleagues, some of my colleagues have seen the mother with one calf. So it's very difficult to think that that other calf would be living alone because it's much too small, just 3-4 months. So it's very difficult to keep any accurate record of births.
Oh. Any other questions or comments?
I would love to see the program again, Chenu. It was very interesting.
Okay, so
I
I've
would like-
recorded it, and let's see how, if anybody is interested, I can send it to you all by email.
Oh,
Can I ask a quick question?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, now these herds are, I believe, formed out of a family, like an extended family of sisters and daughters. And the matriarch must be the oldest of them all. How do new herds form? Does one of the people in that herd form a new herd, or
Yeah,
I mean,
good, interesting
or
question.
are
If
the number of
yeah.
herds the same right along?
No, you're right. Once a herd starts getting very large, like a normal, healthy balance of a herd is about 12 to 15, about 5 big adult females, a few mid-range juveniles, adolescents, and a few calves. So once the herd, like I said, the males are all taken off, they're sent off. But if there are too many females eventually, and the herd becomes a bit large, you're quite correct. What happens is one of the other senior females starts breaking off, and with her, some of her close relatives will move off. It won't happen like overnight. It happens gradually. When they are feeding, sometimes you can see that there are 2 clusters, but they get together and then they move out. So like that, after a period of time, maybe 5-6 months, they will split up. So yes, the herd does not grow continuously to a very large size. They will break off and another matriarch will take over, or another female will take over as another matriarch.
Srilal, I have one question. You
Yes.
said the male gets the scent of a female at musk. How does the male enter the female community?
How does the male?
Enter the female herd.
Oh yeah, that's very interesting. The male senses these things and he comes in. He's very there is no hostility. Everyone, I have some videos where all the herd goes very quiet and the male comes and just walks around and with his trunk he sniffs. And from the urine of the female who is in estrus or in receptive, he will find out which one is that. Then also, by the way, that's another interesting thing. It does not mean that just because a male has come and a female is in receptive, mating will take place. The female can be very picky. Sometimes he will sort of refuse all the male's advances. I had a very interesting experience. I saw 3 males approaching a herd. The first guy went in. Obviously, there was a female receptive. The matriarch gave him a wallop with his trunk and he ran. The second fellow went, he got a kick. The third fellow was okayed by the matriarch, and within 10 minutes he mounted the female. Very interesting. So it was the matriarch who said, okay, you are okay for my daughter. Go ahead. So it's interesting social behavior. So it does not mean that it will happen, but
That's amazing. That's amazing that you at least got the chance to watch this kind of.
yeah, I have it on camera, not on video.
Oh, lovely. And one more question. Why is this gathering unique only to Sri Lanka?
Yeah, that is because the Mineria tank being built by Mahasen, that fills up for the rains during the months of the southwest monsoon. And after about June, they start sending that water out for irrigation. And the second unique thing is right around that area, there's a lot of elephants, Kala, Kaudulla, all that area.
Yeah.
Now, once the water level starts receding from in-area tank, the river bed, the tank bed produces, I told you, this lovely green young grass, which is very nutritious, and the elephants love it. So the elephants actually come from all over around the area to eat this grass. There's a wrong impression that they come for water. They come for the grass because that grass is not found anywhere else. And when the reservoir recedes from June, July, August, September, October, about 200 elephants can be seen grazing in this grass. And then when the rain comes, the banks get inundated with water and the elephants disperse.
Wow. That's
Srilal,
very
what happens if the deforestation keeps continuing? What will happen to our elephant population?
As it is, the elephant population is in dire straits. As I told you, it's not the deforestation per se, but the fragmentation, because I told you the males are chased out of the herd. So they have to go and look for another herd to mate with a female. They can't come into the same herd. So the males walk 200, 300 kilometers sometimes in search of another herd. So you have to have this connection. So now they are trying to say, can't we build elephant corridors to connect these patches of deforestation, of defragmentation. But making a corridor is not like a corridor like you and I know. Elephant corridor is 1 kilometer wide, and it has to have particular plants on a particular vegetation on either side, so that you force the elephant to walk along this sort of stretch. So it's a big thing, but yeah, deforestation and village settlements are the ones that will lead to this demise of the elephant.
Sad.
Srilal, are there albino elephants in Sri Lanka?
There was, yeah, it's very, very rare. There was one about 25 years ago recorded in Yala. There were some photographs circulating, not albino mix. The elephant is pink, not white. It's sort of a dark pink. But the calf didn't survive, and we never saw it for too long after that. Even in Africa, they have really not, they have seen once or twice, but the calf doesn't, it dies off because it's difficult. I think albinos are not that perhaps healthy, or I don't know, maybe.
Srilal, do you want me to talk on elephants or on the wildlife in general?
Oh yes, I have done about more than 50 to 100 talks. I speak I did a talk last year to the Wildlife and Nature Protection Society. Yeah, anyone who asks me, I'm ready to come across and talk. Yeah. But the problem is, when you're talking to these people, you're talking to the converted, like all of you all. You see, when you talk to people in Colombo, you know what the problem is. So, some time ago, Jayanta, Jayavardhan and I, we went out to the villages to talk to them. We got school children in temples. We got the priest to call them and we spoke to them. It was very interesting. The questions were all totally different to what you get from the Colombo audience. I asked them to put their hands up once to tell me who has not seen a wild elephant. No one put up a hand. When I told them to put up their hands if they have never seen a captive elephant, there were several hands going up. Every day when they come to school, they see elephants on the road. So that's the area we have to target, to talk to them The young people, the older folk are difficult to talk to, very difficult to give them answers. But younger people, I think that's the future we have to talk to.
Well, what happened to your Save the Elephant project? When you all initially started, I don't know whether you were involved, but I know Jayanta was very involved, and I was very interested at that time, and
I can't remember what Jayant and I did a couple of programs. I'm not sure what this Save the Elephant program
is that still
was.
continuing? Because I used to make contributions to that, and then it's of course it stopped.
There are at various levels. There are various programs going on, good programs. Wildlife and Nature Protection Society is doing a program with the jeep drivers. They have trained over 900 jeep drivers in Min area, given them accreditation, told them how to behave when they go into the park. I think they did it in Kaudul also. So there are various programs at different levels that are being done by individuals or organizations, which are very good, which will all help. But I have not done too much of projects as such. I did do a program in Udawalawe looking for an elephant who had gone missing, Raja. And the Sunday Times carried a weekly article. It was a very successful, successful in creating publicity and awareness. But I never found Raja. He was dead, obviously, as Tusker. But it was interesting that many people wanted to help me once I got the ball rolling. I didn't have money. A foreign friend, a lady who loves elephants, sent me $10,000, just like that. Dialogue gave me a dongle to do wireless transmission from the hotel, from the park. So the whole idea is if there is a will and there is an interest and there is determination, there are so many little projects you can do, and then you can, energize people to come together.
Thanks, Srilal. That really was very, very interesting. Very gave us a lot of knowledge, and thank you so much. I hope you come back to Sri Lanka soon. Or are you going to spend some time in Australia? I said, are you going to come back to Sri Lanka?
I'm going to be here for a while. Yeah, I'll eventually come back.
Okay. Thank you very much, Srilal.
Right.
Thanks
Okay.
a lot. Okay.